In a world where love blooms like the delicate lotus, hidden beneath the still waters of duty and tradition, Prince Lee Jihan finds himself bound by a heavy legacy. At 23, the masked prince carries the weight of his kingdom's expectations, a heart cloaked in shadows and secrets, yearning for a freedom he can scarcely dream of. Soo-jin, an 18-year-old village healer, tends to the wounds of the world with gentle hands, her spirit as vibrant as the flowers she nurtures. Yet her life is irrevocably altered when she is summoned to the palace, thrust into a marriage she never desired. As fate weaves their paths together in the serene lotus pond courtyard, a spark ignites between them, one that defies their starkly different worlds. But as duty pulls Jihan toward his royal obligations, and Soo-jin battles the confines of her village life, the question lingers. Can love truly conquer the barriers of destiny? Will the wedding gift that silences the town be enough to bridge their hearts? The moon hung low over the lotus pond, casting a silvery glow upon the rippling water, as if the heavens themselves were spilling pearls into the world below. Soo-jin knelt by the water's edge, her fingers dancing over the cool surface as she collected herbs that flourished nearby. The courtyard of the palace, with its ornate eaves and delicate hanok, felt both foreign and familiar, a realm she had only glimpsed from afar. Tonight, though, the veil of night had wrapped her in its embrace, allowing her a rare moment to wander where few villagers dared. As she carefully placed the herbs into a woven basket, a rustle in the trees drew her attention. A figure emerged from the shadows, cloaked in dark fabric that whispered against the night air. He moved with the grace of a deer, yet there was a weight in his steps that spoke of burdens unseen. It was then that she recognized him, the masked prince, Lee Jihan, whose reputation had traveled even to her humble village, tales of his stoic demeanor and brooding presence painting him as an enigma. Soo-jin's heart fluttered, caught between awe and fear. "Your Highness," she breathed, her voice barely above a whisper. The words danced on the breeze, yet their significance hung heavy in the air. The prince's mask gleamed under the moonlight, hiding his expression, but she felt his gaze pierce through the veil, resting upon her with an intensity that made her pulse quicken. "Do you always roam the palace grounds alone, healer?" His voice was deep and resonant, a melody threaded with curiosity. I come for the herbs," she replied, her cheeks warming. "They bloom best near the water." She gestured to the basket at her side, desperately trying to maintain her composure. The air felt electric, charged with an undeniable connection. "Do you believe you can mend the hearts of men with mere plants?" he asked, stepping closer, curiosity softening his tone. The moonlight revealed the sharp contours of his face, a mix of regal beauty and profound sorrow. Soo-jin's heart ached at the unguarded vulnerability she sensed beneath his stoic facade. "Healing is not just about the body. It is the heart that needs mending too," she replied, her voice steady despite the tremor within. "Sometimes a simple flower can carry the weight of 1,000 words." His dark eyes flickered, something raw and unspoken passing between them. "And what would you say to a prince burdened by duty?" His question hung in the air, heavy with implications. She hesitated, her thoughts racing. "I would say that he is not alone," she finally whispered, her heart daring to bridge the chasm between their worlds. "Even in his silence, there are those who see him." He regarded her with a stillness that made her heart race. The weight of his crown felt acutely between them. "You see me?" The mask obscured his features, yet she could almost feel the vulnerability beneath it, the ache of solitude. "I do," she affirmed, stepping closer, the pond's edge just a breath away. "You are more than the prince they speak of. You are a man burdened by expectations, yet you stand before me, a man yearning for understanding." A flicker of surprise crossed his masked visage, and for a fleeting moment, the tension of their worlds faded. The moon continued to cast its light, illuminating the space between them, a silken thread woven by fate. "Perhaps," he murmured, his voice a mere whisper now, "it is you who carries a gift more precious than any royal title." Just then, a soft rustle broke the fragile moment. The sound of approaching footsteps echoed from the palace, and Soo-jin felt her heart plummet. The world of duty and expectation threatened to intrude upon this precious encounter. She stepped back, the spell of the night shattering around them like fragile glass. "Forgive me, Your Highness. I must return," she said, feeling the distance creep back into the space between them. "Stay," he urged, an intensity in his tone that sent shivers down her spine. "I have yet to show you my gratitude." The moon hung high above the palace grounds, casting a silver glow that danced upon the rippling water. Soo-jin felt her breath catch at the prince's words, the weight of his desire to keep her close anchoring her in place. Yet the approaching footsteps echoed ominously in her mind, reminding her of the chasm that separated them. She stammered, a thousand thoughts racing through her mind. The world of courtly expectations loomed like a dark cloud, threatening to pull her back into her role as a healer, the daughter of a commoner. "Your Highness, I cannot—" "Please," he interrupted softly, his voice a gentle caress that brushed against her skin. "Let me show you the gift I have prepared." There was a sincerity in his tone that unraveled her resolve, urging her to stay just a moment longer, to delve deeper into the connection they had begun to weave. "Your Highness, I shouldn't—" But even as she protested, her feet remained rooted, drawn to the prince like a moth to a flame. He stepped back, gesturing toward the intricately carved pavilion nestled among the trees. It was a hidden gem, adorned with delicate cherry blossoms, their petals fluttering softly in the night breeze. "Allow me to share something personal," he invited, his voice low, wrapping around her like a warm embrace. Soo-jin hesitated, the allure of the hidden space beckoning her, yet the reality of their worlds loomed large. "What if someone sees us?" she whispered, the thrill of secrecy sending a rush of adrenaline through her veins. "Let them see," he replied, the mask still concealing his features, but unable to hide the fierce determination in his eyes. "I wish to be more than just the prince they speak of. I wish to be seen as a man, even if only for a fleeting moment." Swallowing hard, she took a step toward him, the decision anchoring her heart to this moment. "Then I will stay," she whispered, a quiet resolution sparking within her. They entered the pavilion, the air thick with the scent of blooming jasmine, a fragrant reminder of the beauty surrounding them. As they settled onto the wooden floor, the prince began to unfasten his mask, revealing a handsome visage marred by the weight of unfulfilled expectations and the relentless burden of duty. The sight of him, unmasked yet vulnerable, made her heart flutter in a way she had never known. "I fear I have troubled you with my burdens," he admitted, his voice softening as he spoke. "The court is relentless. They expect perfection, an image of the prince who can do no wrong." "Yet you are more than what they see," she replied, her voice steady, emboldened by the trust blossoming between them. "You are human, with fears and dreams just like any other." He regarded her for a moment, his gaze searching, as if he were trying to uncover the depths of her soul. "And what is it that you dream of, Soo-jin?" Her heart raced at the sound of her name on his lips, imbued with warmth and curiosity. "I dream of healing," she admitted, "not just of the body, but of the heart. I dream of a world where love is not bound by status, where we can simply exist as ourselves." He leaned closer, the distance between them evaporating, their breaths mingling in the cool night air. "You speak of a world I can only imagine," he confessed, his tone heavy with longing. "In this life of mine, love is a luxury I cannot afford." "Love should not be a luxury," she whispered fiercely, "but a choice, a freedom." Her heart pounded as she spoke, feeling the weight of their connection urging her forward. "Perhaps," he mused, brushing a stray hair from her face, a gesture so tender that it set her heart ablaze. "Perhaps you could teach me what it means to love freely, away from the shadows of duty." The sound of distant laughter and the clattering of armor drifted from the palace, an unwelcome reminder of the world outside their sanctuary. The prince's expression darkened momentarily, the mask of duty slipping back into place. "But we are bound by chains that cannot be broken," he murmured, pain lacing his voice. The laughter from the palace faded into the distance, but the tension in the air thickened, wrapping around them like a heavy cloak. Soo-jin could see the turmoil in the prince's eyes, the fleeting flicker of hope extinguished by the stark reality of their lives. The vibrant blossoms surrounding them seemed to dim under the weight of unspoken words, their beauty overshadowed by the looming specter of courtly expectations. "Soo-jin," he began, the name falling from his lips like a whispered prayer. "You must understand, my life is not my own. I am to be wed to a woman who is a stranger to me, my heart shackled to a duty that feels heavier with each passing day." Her heart ached at his confession, the sound of his anguish reverberating through her. "But what if you could choose?" she implored, her voice trembling with intensity. "What if you could break free from the chains that bind you? Is there not a part of you that longs for it?" He took a deep breath, the warmth of her proximity igniting a fire within him. "To choose is to invite chaos," he replied, the mask of duty slipping back into place. "And chaos brings danger, not just to me but to those I care for. The court would never accept a union between a prince and a commoner." Soo-jin felt a wave of despair wash over her. "But I am not just a commoner, I am a healer. I have spent my life tending to the sick and the wounded. My heart too longs for something greater. We could learn from each other, grow together." He leaned back slightly, contemplating her words, the space between them crackling with a tension that was both exhilarating and terrifying. "And what if the court finds out?" he asked, a hint of desperation creeping into his voice. "What if they condemn you for associating with me? Your life would be shattered." She reached for his hand, the warmth of his skin igniting a spark of courage within her. "I'd rather risk everything for a chance at true happiness than live in a gilded cage, suffocated by expectations," she said fiercely, her gaze unwavering. His heart raced at her declaration, the fierce determination in her eyes igniting a longing he had buried deep. "You make it sound so simple," he murmured, brushing his thumb against her knuckles, a gesture so intimate that it sent shivers down her spine. "But life in the palace is a delicate dance. One misstep, and everything could unravel." "Then let us take that step together," she urged, her voice a blend of resolve and tenderness. "Together, we can face whatever comes. I want to know you, beyond the prince, beyond the mask." The prince's gaze fell to the ground, his heart a tumult of emotions. "You are everything I am not. Free, unburdened. How can I take you into the storm that is my life? You deserve peace." "And you deserve happiness," she countered, the weight of their connection pressing against the walls of her heart. "I see you, not the prince but the man beneath. Please, let me be part of your life, even if only for a moment." He searched her eyes, the vulnerability of her plea reaching deep within him. With trembling fingers, he caressed her cheek, the intimacy of the gesture filling the space with an electric charge. "What if we were discovered?" he asked, his voice low, laced with concern. "What if they find out about us?" "Then we will face it together," she replied, her heart racing as she leaned into his touch. The mask that had shielded him began to crumble under the weight of their shared vulnerability, the invisible chains of duty faltering as she drew closer. "Do you truly mean that?" he asked, his breath hitching as their foreheads almost touched, the soft warmth between them igniting a yearning that both terrified and exhilarated him. "Yes," she whispered, her lips mere inches from his. "I mean every word." In that breathless moment, time stood still. The world beyond the pavilion blurred, the laughter and clanging armor fading into an echo of what once was. Here, beneath the blooming cherry blossoms, they were simply two souls yearning for connection, for freedom, for love. The air around them was thick with unspoken promises, the delicate fragrance of cherry blossoms enveloping them like a secret shared only between the two. Soo-jin's heart raced, pounding against her ribcage as she searched the prince's eyes, his mask slipping away in the warmth of their shared moment. She felt a connection, a bond that transcended the constraints of their worlds, and she longed to dive deeper, to explore the depths of his soul that lay hidden beneath royal decorum. As if sensing her thoughts, the prince hesitated, his brow furrowing. "This is dangerous, Soo-jin," he finally murmured, the weight of his title clinging to him like a shroud. "A union between us could ignite a firestorm at court. You could become a target. I'd rather face the flames than be extinguished by the chill of a life without you," she whispered back, her voice a fragile thread of conviction. The truth of her words hung heavily in the air, a weight neither could dismiss. "I know the risks, but I am not afraid. I have faced danger before, and it was always for others. This time, let it be for us." He inhaled sharply, the courage she displayed making his heart swell with admiration. She was unyielding, a warrior in her own right. "But you should be afraid. The court is merciless. They would never accept a commoner, especially one of your talents, being so close to me." "The world is changing," she replied, her voice steady, despite the tremor of uncertainty that flickered in her chest. "People are beginning to understand that love knows no rank. Your heart, my heart, they do not abide by the rules of status." He shook his head, the turmoil within him evident. "You are so brave," he said, almost in awe, brushing a stray hair from her face. "But I have duties, responsibilities that bind me. A prince cannot simply choose whom to love. And a healer cannot ignore her heart," she countered softly, leaning into his touch, the warmth of his fingers igniting a fire within her. "We both have burdens to bear, but what good is a life lived in shadows? I want to stand beside you, not behind you. I want to fight for us." His heart twisted painfully, torn between duty and desire. He could feel the winds of change blowing through the palace, yet the walls that surrounded his life were as solid as stone. "You speak of fighting, yet I fear that I am not worth the battle," he confessed, his voice breaking slightly. "You are a light, Soo-jin. You deserve the sun, not the darkness I bring." "And what if I choose the darkness?" she challenged, her eyes shimmering with a fierce determination. "What if I choose you?" The weight of her words hung in the air, wrapping around him like silk. He had spent his life in the shadows, hidden behind the mask, never allowing anyone to see the true man beneath. Yet here she was, unafraid, willing to embrace the tempest that was his life. With a sudden surge of courage, he stepped closer, the space between them shrinking until he could feel the warmth radiating from her body. "Promise me," he said, his voice a fervent whisper, "that you will not change who you are for me. You are perfect as you are. A healer, a fighter, a woman of courage. Promise me you will never lose that." Her heart fluttered wildly at his words, the sincerity in his voice making her chest ache with emotion. "I promise," she vowed, her voice steady despite the tears that threatened to spill. "But you must promise me too, that you will let me in. Let me help you bear your burdens. Together we can face the world." Just then the sound of approaching footsteps shattered their reverie. Panic surged through the prince as he instinctively stepped back, his mask of duty snapping back into place. "I must go," he said, the urgency in his tone evident. "If they see me here, if they discover us." Soo-jin's heart sank, the reality of their worlds crashing down around her. "But we were so close," she whispered, her voice trembling as she reached out to grasp his hand, desperate to hold on to the moment. "Don't leave me." As the echo of footsteps grew louder, the prince hesitated, torn between the life he had known and the possibility of a future with Soo-jin. He felt her hand grasping his, her fingers trembling with a mixture of fear and resolve. The warmth of her touch ignited a fierce yearning deep within him, a desperate need to be with her, even if only for a moment longer. "Soo-jin, you must understand," he breathed, his voice laced with urgency. "If they discover us, it could ruin everything. Your life would be in danger." Her eyes glistened with unshed tears, the vulnerability in her gaze piercing his heart. "And what of your life? What of your happiness?" she countered, her voice quivering. "Am I to stand by while you sacrifice your heart for the sake of duty? Is that truly what you want?" The prince's throat tightened, a lump forming as he considered her words. The weight of his responsibilities bore down heavily on him, each one a shackle binding him to a fate he had never chosen. Yet standing before Soo-jin, he felt the stirring of something he had long thought extinguished. Hope. "I do not want to live without you, but—" His voice faltered. "But the court will never accept us. You are a healer, and I am a prince. Our worlds are too far apart." Her grip tightened around his hand, her determination igniting a spark within him. "Then let us change that world together. I have seen the way people look at me, how they respect my skills. I can be more than a commoner. I can be your ally. They will listen if they see your heart is in this." A flicker of admiration flashed in his eyes as he marveled at her spirit. She was brave, fiercely so, and her unwavering belief in him stirred something deep inside. "You truly believe we can change hearts and minds?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper, laced with vulnerability. "I do," she replied earnestly, her eyes steady and full of conviction. "Love transcends rank and duty. If we stand united, they will have to see us." Just then, the footsteps halted at the entrance of the garden, and they exchanged a quick glance, the reality of their situation crashing over them like a wave. The prince pulled away, taking a step back, and Soo-jin felt the chill of separation creeping in. "Please, don't." But the prince shook his head, a sorrowful expression crossing his features. "I cannot risk your safety, Soo-jin, not when the world is so cruel." With a heavy heart, he turned away, but not before stealing one last glance at her. Her expression was a mix of defiance and despair, and in that moment, he felt the sharp sting of regret. He disappeared into the shadows of the garden, his heart racing as he navigated the familiar paths that would lead him back to the palace. As he entered the grand hall, the opulent surroundings felt suffocating. The intricate silk tapestries, the shimmering lanterns, everything seemed to mock him. He could hear the whispers of the court echoing in the background, a constant reminder of the chains that bound him. "The masked prince," they would say, "the one who hides behind duty." Days turned into weeks, and the prince found himself haunted by the memory of Soo-jin's fierce spirit. He spent hours locked away in his chamber, contemplating the words they had exchanged, the warmth of her hand lingering like a brand upon his skin. Each moment apart felt like a wound that would not heal, and the weight of his royal duties grew heavier still. Meanwhile, Soo-jin poured herself into her work at the village clinic, her heart battling with longing for the masked prince. She often found herself staring into the distance, wondering if he thought of her as she thought of him. Her patients, young and old, came to rely on her healing touch, yet no remedy could soothe the ache of separation. One fateful evening, as she treated a young boy with a fever, the door creaked open, and in stepped the prince, unannounced. The sight of him, even in his mask, sent a rush of adrenaline through her veins. He looked more handsome than ever, the candlelight dancing off the contours of his face, illuminating the emotions he fought to conceal. The village was drenched in the warm hues of dusk as the sun began its descent behind the mountains, casting an ethereal glow across the landscape. Soo-jin stood frozen in shock, the warm mug of herbal tea slipping from her fingers and shattering on the wooden floor. The prince, cloaked in shadows, stepped forward, revealing his familiar silhouette against the soft flicker of lantern light. "Soo-jin," he breathed, his voice laced with urgency. "I've come to claim what is rightfully ours." She blinked, heart racing, and drew a shaky breath. "But what of your duties? The court—" "The court will learn to accept what they cannot change," he interrupted gently. His dark eyes burned with resolve. "I cannot bear another moment without you. We will change our world together." With that, he reached for her hand, their fingers intertwining, and the warmth surged through her. All fears of societal disapproval and royal responsibilities melted away like morning mist under the sun. It was just them, two souls intertwined against a backdrop of doubt and expectation. In the days that followed, they plotted their course. Soo-jin continued her work in the village, her fame as a healer spreading far and wide. while the prince worked tirelessly behind the scenes. They met in secret, exchanging dreams and hopes, until they devised a plan that would echo through the palace walls and into the hearts of their people. "Let us host a festival," the prince proposed one evening, his voice brimming with excitement. "A celebration of healing, unity, and love. A chance for the kingdom to witness our bond." Soo-jin's eyes sparkled with the thrill of possibility. A festival where commoners and nobles can mingle, where we can showcase our love openly. Yes, it is a perfect idea. As the festival day approached, the couple worked tirelessly to prepare. The village was transformed into a vibrant tapestry of colors, adorned with lanterns shaped like lotus blossoms and tables overflowing with traditional delicacies. They invited everyone, nobles, commoners, and healers alike, across the kingdom. On the day of the festival, the air was thick with anticipation. The prince stood at the center of the courtyard, his heart pounding as he watched the townsfolk arrive. His mask was gone. He had chosen to reveal his identity fully to the world, standing there as both a prince and a man deeply in love. As Soo-jin joined him, a wave of gasps rippled through the crowd. "Today, we celebrate love," he declared, his voice echoing with newfound confidence. "Not just mine for Soo-jin, but the love that binds us all. We are not defined by our titles, but by our actions and our hearts." As the villagers cheered, Soo-jin felt a swell of pride. This was the moment they had envisioned, a moment where love transcended rank, where the bond they forged could unite the kingdom. They danced together, their movements graceful and free, as the beating of drums filled the air, drawing more and more people into the celebration. As night fell, lanterns flickered like stars above, and the prince took Soo-jin's hand, leading her to the center of the square. "I wish to make a vow," he said, kneeling before her, the world around them fading into a hushed silence. "Soo-jin, you have healed not only the wounds of my heart, but those of our people. Will you marry me?" Tears glistened in her eyes, and she nodded, unable to contain the joy swelling within her.